What is going on YouTube? This is Chimpact, and I have a 5th generation battle with my monocolor team against Devinfernape, and this is a pretty good battle I had with him. And anyway, I lead out with Roserade against his Airfoon, and I'm gonna go for the spikes because all he can do to me is either taunt or U-turn, and if he taunts I can break his subs with Hidden Power Fire. So I'm just gonna go for spikes until he taunts me. And he brings in his Espeon, which is going to reflect my spikes back onto my team. And I fear the Psycho Shock, so I'm going to go out to my Tyranitar. But he predicts my switch into Tyranitar and goes back out to his Airfoon. And I'm going to go for the Pursuit, thinking that he's going to switch out into something else like Notori or something. So a Pursuit was a pretty good option, I thought, at the moment. But he does go for the Substitute, scouts out what I'm going to do. But since I'm not locked into anything, you can't really scout out what I'm going to do because I'm not banded or scarfed. And I'm going to go back out to Roserade, fearing the Leech Seed, because that's all Airfoons do. They just subseed you until you get annoyed and switch out. And I'm going to go for the Energy Ball and not for a Splice because Espeon did come last turn. So it's going to do a chunk of damage, and even if he stayed in, I would have broke the sub. And I'm going to switch back out into Tyranitar, thinking that he's going to Psychic. But he does go for the Grass Knot, and I thought he was a Light Clay holding Dual Screener Espeon, but he is Life Orbed. So right here I want to save my Tyranitar for later, so I switch out to my Bronzong, who can take Psychics in case he predicts my Roserade switch, and the Grass Knot in case he wanted to finish off my Tyranitar. So even though I got a bit out predicted early in the game, I'm up 6-5, and he brings his Devinfernape in, and I'm gonna go out to Barungaroo to take the Fire move, but he does go for the U-turn, and he gets a crit. It didn't really matter early on, but as the game went on, I think it kind of mattered. He U-turns out to his Notori, and I'm going to switch out. I could either switch into Bronzong or Roserade, and my mindset was Roserade could scare him immediately with Hidden Power Fire, and Bronzong would just wall it, and it could just set up hazards on me, so I switched out to Roserade, thinking that it had spikes. And I don't go for the Hidden Power Fire because I don't want to reveal it early on. So I go for the spikes, and he brings in his Tornarusu. And right here I do have special defense investment, and I'm pretty confident that I can live the Gale. And I don't live the Gale, which was pretty costly because Airfoon might have been Roserade might have been useful for me later on in the game. I switch out to Bronzong, trying to set up my Stealth Rock, but he predicts it, and he goes for the taunt, which is a good move on his part, because I'm pretty sure he does have a Mischievous Heart, so in case I had like Quick Claw or something, he would have went first anyway. And right here what I'm thinking is that I'm going to stay in until the taunt wears off, and because I do wall as Notori, he's going to just want to set up on me in case he has the spikes or whatever. So I'm going to stay in until the taunt wears off, and I'm going to switch out into my Golbat to get the switch advantage, because I'm pretty sure that anything that he switches in against my Golbat doesn't want to stay in, because my Golbat would be at a pretty good chunk of health. And so I think the taunt wears off this turn, and he switches out, and he goes into his Infernape, which is really good for me because I resist fighting and U-turn, so I'm pretty sure he's not going to go for either move. Pretty sure, yeah, he's not going to go for either, so he's going to have to go for the Flamethrower. So I predict that and go for the Roost, but he brings in his Garchomp. And I'm at full health now, and then Sandstorm brings me down to less than full. And I switch out to Bronzong again because I predicted an Outrage or Dragon Claw. And I do have the Hidden Power Ice that I showed him earlier. And right here I'm going to go for the Gyro Ball because it can do a huge chunk of damage to anything that switches in. And if he brings in his Notori, who's the only one that's going to be able to take a gyro ball, I can set up the stealth rock on it. So I do gyro ball and he taunts me, so I'm not gonna be able to set up the gyro ball, and I switch out, I think, this turn into my Golbat again. And right here I go for the taunt on his own Notori. And that's gonna mean that my Bronzong can absolutely wall his Notori, and I don't go for the Roost, because if I go for the Roost, then he's definitely gonna have to switch out next turn into something that can hurt my Golbat, and I don't want that, so I immediately switch out to my Bronzong. And he goes for the Power Whip. It does nothing to me. And I'm gonna go for the Stealth Rock right here because I can't do anything else other than Hypnosis, and that has shady accuracy, so I don't really want to go for the Hypnosis. I do get the Stealth Rock up, which is good because his Devinfernape is still a pretty big threat to my team, despite Brunguru being at a half health. And he goes for the Focus Blast. I'm able to live that with half of what I had and finish it off with Gyro Ball. So Bronzong is doing its work, and he brings in his Devinfernape. And the reason why that crit mattered earlier is because I would have like 3/4 health with Brunguru right now, and I would probably switch that in, but it wouldn't live flamethrowers with the entry hazards, so I'm gonna have to sacrifice the Bronzong because of the crit earlier. And right here I'm gonna go for the Recover, just in case it did have the Grass Knot or a Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch would have 20 KO'd me, so that would have been bad. I do get the Recover off, and he kills himself off with Life Orb and the Sandstorm, just like I killed off Espeon. And he brings in his Notori, and I go for the Boiling Water, hoping that I could get the burn, and I do get it at the first turn, which is really, really good for me. I got really lucky there. There's no doubt about that. And he goes for the Lead Seed. And this turn I'm going to go for the Recover, just to be at full health and try to take any hits that his Garchomp might do to me later in the game. And he gets the Toxic off, which doesn't really matter because I'm going to switch out next turn anyway. And yeah, after the Lead Seed, Toxic, Sandstorm, all this crap. Oh my god. I'm going to switch out to Golbat. And look how much this Power Whip does to my Golbat with a critical hit. It does like 25, I think. And I take Sandstorm damage. And his Notori can't really do anything to me other than Lead Seed, but I did show him the taunt, so I doubt he's going to go for Lead Seed. So I'm going to go for the Roost, thinking that he's going to go for the Gyro Ball, but he doesn't have the Gyro Ball, so that's good for me. And Gyro Ball wouldn't have done a whole lot of damage anyway. He goes for the Outrage, and I'm going to be able to live that because that showed me that he's Scarfed. If he was Banded, he would probably 1-hit KO me. And instead of going for the Roost again, I decided to go for the Brave Bird. And I didn't really want to stall. And I'm definitely not going to live this Outrage because if it did like 150 to Golbat, it definitely would have done a lot more to Brunguru, because Golbat has about 200 more hit points in defense because of the Evolution Stone. And thankfully for me, he hits himself in confusion with Outrage, and I'm able to finish him off with Ice Beam. And right here it's looking good for me because Notori is burned. If I didn't get the burn, he might have, first turn burn, I mean, he might have been able to Toxic Stall me or get a Power Crit or something like that. So that first turn burn was really, really good for me. Anyways, he encores me into Ice Beam on my Tyranitar, which is a pretty good play on his part. And I go for Ice Beam again, and he goes for the Lead Seed, and I'm really confused as to why he went for the Lead Seed, because a Power Whip probably would 2-hit KO my Tyranitar at this amount of health, even if his Notori is burned, because I don't have any defense EVs on this Tyranitar, but he doesn't know that, so maybe that's why. but just looking at how much HP I had, I probably would have just went for the power whip, and it definitely would have 2-hit KO'd my Tyranitar, unless it missed. But Leech Seed and Toxic both have an opportunity to miss, so either way. The Encore finally wears off, and I go for Flamethrower, and I win the game. So that was a good game, Devin. And if you like this battle, be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. And peace out, guys.